Think you know everything about the most badass warrior women in Norse mythology? Think again. In this video, I'm going to reveal the darkest secrets of the Valkyries, these warrior maidens who inspired Marvel, God of War, and countless other modern works. And wait until you discover why some of them ended up defying Odin himself. Stick around until the end, because I'll reveal which Valkyrie is considered the most dangerous of all, and why she might just change everything you thought you knew about Norse mythology. So, the Valkyries, these fascinating creatures who have crossed centuries without losing an ounce of their mystery. If you're here today, it's probably because you've seen them in a Marvel movie, fought them in God of War, or maybe discovered them in a Netflix series. But the truth is, their real origins are far more complex and darker than anything Hollywood could imagine. In the original Norse mythology, Valkyries aren't just cool-looking warriors with wings and shiny armor. No, they are literally Odin's agents of death. Their name, Valkyria in Old Norse, means choosers of the slain. Imagine the terrifying power that represents. Having the right to decide who lives and who dies on a battlefield. It's exactly the kind of job description you won't find on LinkedIn. The ancient texts, particularly the Poetic Edda and Snorri's Edda, describe these women as supernatural beings in the direct service of Odin, the All-Father. Their main mission? To roam battlefields and select the most valiant warriors who have fallen in combat to take them to Valhalla. But careful, they only take half of the glorious dead. The other half goes to Freya in her hall called Folkvanger. Yes, even in death there's competition among the Norse gods. What makes the Valkyries particularly interesting is their dual nature. On one hand, they are psychopomps, spiritual guides who accompany souls to the afterlife. On the other, they are formidable warriors who don't hesitate to intervene directly in battles, to influence their outcome according to Odin's will. Some accounts describe them riding through the sky on winged horses, while others show them as ravens or swans, capable of transforming into women. By the way, if you're enjoying this content and want to discover even more secrets about Norse mythology, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. It helps me tremendously, and you'll be the first to know about my upcoming videos on the mysteries of the Viking gods. Now, let's talk about the most famous Valkyries, because yes, they all had their own personalities and stories. Let's start with Brynhildr, probably the most well-known thanks to Wagner's opera and multiple modern adaptations. In the saga of the Volsungs, she is punished by Odin for disobeying his orders by protecting a hero she wasn't supposed to save. The result? She ends up plunged into a magical sleep, surrounded by a wall of fire, waiting for a hero brave enough to wake her. It's exactly the kind of story that inspired Sleeping Beauty, but in a much more metal version. Then there's Sigrun, another rebellious Valkyrie who falls in love with a mortal named Helgi. Their tragic love story spans multiple lifetimes because even death cannot separate them. Every time Helgi dies in battle, he is reborn under a new name, and Sigrun finds him again. It's the kind of romance that makes Twilight look like a light romantic comedy. Regenleif, whose name means heritage of the gods, is mentioned in several texts as one of the Valkyries most loyal to Odin. Gunrur, meanwhile, is often associated with war magic and battle spells. These names still resonate today in our popular culture, proof that their impact far exceeds the borders of medieval Scandinavia. But what's really fascinating is seeing how these mythological figures have evolved in our contemporary culture. Take Marvel, for example. The Valkyrie portrayed by Tessa Thompson in Thor Ragnarok and subsequent films is Brynhildr, directly inspired by Norse mythology. Where the original myth shows her as Odin's sometimes rebellious servant, Marvel makes her a traumatized survivor of her sisters-in-arms massacre by Hela. It's a modern reinterpretation that preserves the essence of the character while adapting it to current sensibilities. In the video game universe, God of War and God of War Ragnarok offer us a particularly dark vision of the Valkyries. Here, they are corrupted by Odin's madness and become terrifying bosses that Kratos must face. Sigrun, the queen of the Valkyries, is considered one of the most difficult fights in the entire franchise. And in Ragnarok, it's Na who takes up the mantle as the new queen of the Valkyries, offering players an even more formidable challenge. Square Enix's Valkyrie Profile series offers an approach more faithful to the original mythology, where the player embodies Lenneth, a Valkyrie tasked with recruiting warriors for Ragnarok. The game brilliantly explores themes of fate, sacrifice, and rebellion against the gods that are at the heart of Norse myths. Even less obvious works draw inspiration from the Valkyrie. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, although the focus is on the Vikings, we find numerous references to these divine warriors. The anime series Record of Ragnarok completely reinvents the concept by pitting gods against humans in an epic tournament, with Valkyries who fuse with human fighters. This persistence of Valkyries in modern popular culture is no accident. They represent a powerful archetype that resonates particularly today, that of the independent warrior woman who defies patriarchal authority. In the original myths, several Valkyries rebel against Odin to follow their own conception of justice or love. It's a theme that finds particular echo in our era. But beyond their modern representation, the original Valkyries had a fundamental cosmological role in Norse mythology. They weren't just warriors or messengers, they were guardians of the balance between life and death, between the world of mortals and that of the gods. Their power to choose who dies in combat made them figures of destiny on par with the Norn, those three sisters who weave the web of fate. This connection with destiny is particularly visible in their role of preparation for Ragnarok. By selecting the best warriors to populate Valhalla, they constitute the army that will fight alongside the gods during the final battle. It's an enormous responsibility that goes far beyond simply being elite soldiers. The Icelandic sagas also tell us that certain Valkyries could grant favors to mortal heroes, such as magical weapons, strategic advice, or even prophecies. They sometimes acted as spiritual mentors, guiding warriors not only toward an honorable death, but toward a deeper understanding of their destiny. This mystical dimension of the Valkyries is found in their association with various symbolic animals. Besides winged horses and Odin's ravens, they were sometimes represented as swans. In fact, several legends tell stories of men who steal the Valkyries' swan feathers to force them to remain in the mortal world. These tales explore themes of freedom, consent, and power in a surprisingly modern way. It should also be mentioned that the Valkyries weren't all identical. Some sources distinguish divine Valkyries, who are Odin's direct servants, from mortal Valkyries, who are exceptional warrior women elevated to the rank of demigods. This distinction explains why some stories show Valkyries capable of dying or being wounded, while others describe them as immortal. The exact number of Valkyries varies according to sources. Some texts mention 13, others many more. The most frequently cited names include Skuld, which means debt or that which must happen, Hildr, battle, Thrúðr, strength, and of course the already mentioned Sigrun and Brynhildr. Each name carried a meaning related to war, destiny, or warrior virtues. What makes the Valkyries particularly fascinating for us today is their moral ambiguity. They are neither purely good nor purely evil. They serve Odin, but Odin himself is a complex god, capable of betrayal and manipulation. The Valkyries can be saviors for some warriors, and death for others. This moral nuance makes them much more interesting than black and white characters. Moreover, this complexity is found in the way the Vikings themselves perceived death in combat. Dying gloriously was certainly honorable, but it also meant being separated forever from one's family and loved ones. The Valkyries embodied this tragic duality between glory and loss, between honor and separation. The influence of the Valkyries even extends beyond the framework of popular fiction. They have inspired feminist movements, historical reenactment groups, and even modern military units. The idea of independent and powerful warrior women continues to resonate in our contemporary society. Speaking of contemporary society, it's interesting to note how each era reinterprets the Valkyries according to its own concerns. Wagner's opera in the 19th century presented them as romantic and heroic figures. Marvel Comics of the 1960s made them into superheroes. Modern video games explore their darkest and most psychological aspects. This capacity for adaptation and reinvention is perhaps the true secret of the Valkyries' longevity in our collective imagination. They represent archetypes universal enough to transcend cultures and eras, while retaining enough Nordic specificity to preserve their unique identity. Now, let's get back to my promise from the beginning. Which is the most dangerous Valkyrie? According to many Norse mythology specialists, it would be Skuld, whose name literally means that which must happen. She is not only a Valkyrie, she is also one of the three Norns, the weavers of fate. This gives her a power that far exceeds that of her sisters in arms. She doesn't just choose who dies in combat, she influences fate itself. Imagine facing someone who already knows the outcome of the battle before it even begins. This revelation completely changes our perception of the Valkyries, doesn't it? They are not only warriors or psychopomps. Some of them are literally cosmic forces capable of shaping reality itself. In conclusion, The Valkyries of Norse mythology are much more than simple warrior women with horned helmets. They are complex figures who embody the contradictions of the human condition: glory and tragedy, obedience and rebellion, life and death. Their persistence in our modern culture testifies to the power of these mythological archetypes and their ability to adapt to the concerns of each era. Whether you discover them in a Marvel movie, face them in God of War, or study them in ancient texts, the Valkyries continue to fascinate us because they represent something profoundly human: the desire to transcend our mortal condition while maintaining our free will. They remind us that even the servants of the gods can choose their own path, and that sometimes the greatest bravery consists of defying those who give us our orders. So, the next time you see a Valkyrie in a video game or movie, remember this mythological richness hidden behind the armor and wings. These divine warriors carry within them millennia of stories, fears, hopes, and human dreams. And that's perhaps their true power, connecting us to our ancestors and founding myths, while inspiring us to write our own legends.